Trbailey here with El Norte, Eddie North. YGO God. So we decided to do a fun little video for you guys. Our top 10 favorite monster cards in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Pocket monsters.
Pocket monsters. So we're going to do our top 10, and then we'll break it down why they're our favorite cards. And we'll just let you know why. Alex isn't in this shit. Alex provided the venue. Shout out to young Alex for providing the venue.
Try suck my dick. Can that even go on YouTube?
Anything you want can go on YouTube as long as pretty much.
Oh, well, at least they know I get handies under the table from both of you.
All right. Anyways, let's get into our top 10. Not hand job related things. All right.
So I guess who I am.
Eddie, come back. We have to focus on this
I
video.
hope Mitchell doesn't see
That's
this
Mitchell
video.
or Larry.
All right. So what's your number 10, El Norte?
Here, I'll fix that. Broken.
Ritual Beast Ulti Cannahawk. Just kidding, I don't like penis. My number 10 is Debris Dragon. I've always been a big fan of the plant format, and I think Debris Dragon was my favorite card of that time.
My number 10 is Spirit Reaper. There was a long time where Reaper was just awesome, and it's a super rare too. My friend Pono actually always had a super German that he always let me use, Geister Cinnamon. And he's pretty cool. It was really good during when Heroes and Dino Rabbit were big.
Is he like a cinnamon roll? A synonym?
Alex, you're retarded.
You got me watching those videos.
Shout out to Dad.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go first on my number 9. I've got Neospatian Grand Mole.
Hope ass higher.
So Neospatian Grand Mole was a lot like Spirit Reaper for me. I always played one in my side deck because there's a lot of formats where it was really good. Like you use Neospatian Grand Mole on Elemental Hero the Shining, that was always pretty funny. Sometimes you get a Windup Zen mains with it.
Shockmaster on spells.
Shockmaster. Bouncing Geargi armors back to their hand when they were playing like the mecha, the slow versions of the deck. When they weren't playing Karakuri, you just bounce their armor back to their hand and attack with Thunder King or something. That was always fun. What about you, Eddie?
I got Trigodia as my number 9. I always liked him a lot more than Gores because it just meant you couldn't play any kind of spells, and a lot of times he was a lot more flexible with the level increase or decrease and taking the opponent's stuff. The best thing ever was Trigodia, ditching Trigodia to take Clifford Towers.
And it was also super good with Max C too.
Yeah.
Whereas Gores was not as good with Max C.
Correct.
What about your number 8?
Like Saber Dark Soul.
Ooh.
Yeah. I like the pluses.
Brings me back to the days. Remember when you could trigger it multiple times, enemy controller
Cold
twice?
Wave.
Cold Wave. Hey. That format was so fun. That's one of my favorite original decks. My number 8 Snowman Eater. Because Snowman Eater Snowman Eater would get into a lot of people's ass. Especially this one card called Thunder King Ryo. There was also its second favorite target was Evolzar Logia.
Yeah.
It also did a number on Neo Salius too, so it was all around just super good at the time. And sometimes it would stay on the field, you'd make rank 3s, like someone would Valor your tour guide, you'd have a Snowman Eater, so you're like whatever.
And 1900 is the magic number.
Yeah,
that was during the time it was good anyways.
Yeah, and then it was a super, and that's my favorite rarity, and so it was awesome.
How many of yours are super? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think all of them have super prints except
6.
for a couple.
Don't tell them. Alright, so what are we on? 7?
7.
I got High Priestess of Prophecy.
Yeah, you can fuck yourself. Why do you have High Priestess on there?
It's one of my favorite cards of all time, and one of my favorite decks that I ever played with was Spellbooks when it originally came out. As I liked it originally with Lilas and Trigodias and Wonder Wands and Max C's. It was just a lot of fun.
My number 7 is Traptrix Mermelio. I only got to play with it for a short period of time before people started coming out with Shadals and Nekroz and Burning Abyss and all that stuff. But Mermelio is one of my favorite cards ever, and when I got a super print, I almost came a little bit. But no, Traptrix Mermelio is one of my favorite cards. I like really slower formats where you play high tempo, And those are my things. And, Myrmilio is just a good tempo swing. You play Call of the Haunted and bring it back to pop things as well. I just loved it as a card overall. And it was so splashable as an engine. I played it in Gear Gear. I played it in Windups. I played it in anything that I could play it in because I just loved that card. I just hated Ice Hand because of that card, actually. Probably more than anything. The hands, I hated them bitches because they always fucked on my Myrmilio.
You crash with Myrmilio.
Yeah, that was so stupid. My number 6 is Gear Giga X because, well, Gear Giga is one of my favorite decks, and overall, I would have to say that when I thought about it, I really don't like any of the monsters. I just like how the deck plays as a whole. But I had to give it a shout out because it's one of my favorite decks, so I gave Gear X the spot because he is the reason the deck is a thing. Period. So I just gave him that shout. What about you? Your number 6.
Title Dragon Roller Waterfalls.
You can see Eddie likes broken shit. Yeah. Eddie just likes to kill his opponent.
That was my favorite dragon of all of them.
Yeah. Because you love water too, right?
I love water.
He loves water. He loves dragons.
Gatorade.
Heretics. He loves all of that shit. So, my number 5 is Elemental Hero The Shining. A lot of people are like, no Stratos? Well, maybe. But
you're not a basic bitch.
I'm not a basic bitch. Elemental Hero The Shining was my favorite. I remember when I first got this card, I was thinking about building heroes. I had the Miracle Fusions, which I don't know if you guys remember, but Miracle Fusion, even the rares, used to be $10. And I had the Alias. I had everything but Shining, and it was a $25 thing from the jump. And I finally got my first Shining, and I said, you know what? I'm going to play it. And I loved that deck. It was my first real deck, and it really taught me how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I love that deck, and I miss it. I want Stratos to come back somewhat as nostalgia, but I also think that would be horrible for this game on all sorts of levels. What about you?
I bet El Shaw Construct. Let's continue the broken wagon. Yeah. I just like the flexibility with it and El Shaddai Fusion. A lot.
For sure.
You got to do so many different nutty plays with it. I wish we still had one.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that card's at 0. I mean, I'm not surprised because I know they wanted to push Pepe, and literally, I don't know if Pepe could even come close to beating Shaddolls. But that's the idea behind that.
I think half the reason why it was so broken at its time was because Shaddai Fusion got you to send Juggler too, and now that's gone as well.
Right.
Bring it back. Not Juggler.
But on top of it, Construct was it triggered so many different effects, and it would trigger 3 effects, so it gave you a +3.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That and it just not anymore with Dark Destroyer, but it pretty much just ran through a whole Cosmo deck back then too.
Yeah. What about your number 4?
Archlord Christia.
Hey.
Yeah.
His opponent, he does not want them doing shit.
Yeah, I feel like I try to fit Christia in every deck I play.
You should tell him how you fit Christia and Pepe. That's awesome.
Oh man, how did I fit Christia and Pepe? It was pretty much just like with all your pendulum summoning and free cards because the deck was stupid. You just got the Tribute 2 to go to the extra deck to summon a 2800 you can't special summon card, and you do that after you make Cyber Dragon Infinity. So if they can out Infinity and Christia, it just goes to the top of the deck. So since you still have scales, you just make it again and again and again. But after about a week of that, I realized Vanity's Roar is a lot better.
He was sad about that, though. He really was. My number 3 is Dante, Traveler of the Burning Abyss. I'll jump on the broken wagon for a second, son. So we live about how many miles from Millville?
Dante's hometown.
Yeah, Dante's down the road from where we live. Dante is my main dude. I love this card. I love its flexibility. I love everything about this card. Just literally answered anything and everything when it came out. Just so flexible, so broken. I mean, and he's just the beaten heart of my second favorite deck of all time. The one deck that I've got my premier top with, and Burning Abyss will always have a spot in my heart for that forever. Got my first top with him.
Round 3, right?
Yeah.
Mine's the Necros of Valkyris.
Ain't nobody fucking with Eddie Necros.
Yeah, Necros is probably one of my favorite decks of all time. I wasn't its biggest fan when everything was at 3 because it was almost like you didn't win if you played that deck, and I liked it a lot better when we had to play the Great Sorcerer and Exa because it opened a lot more combo oriented plays and give you the advantage you need. and the deck was a lot of fun. And my favorite card out of the whole deck was Valkyris. I feel like it just had the best effects outside of.
He is a badass
board
too.
Effect. Yeah, he's 2,900. It's huge.
Valkyris was definitely super underrated. I mean, the card, like, it had its negative side to it because obviously negating attacks while it's good, it's also a negative. But it also was super strong in its like ability to bring the game like forward as well, with its drawing cards and stuff. Right. What's your number 2?
Number 2 is Ascension Sky Dragon. Man, that goes along with the Shaddoll's being one of my favorite decks ever. Whenever I would play on DN, I would hit constructs in the end phase with El Shaddall Fusion and send Falco, and just having the feeling of a 7,000 something attack monster swinging at your opponent was like a great feeling. And then if they kill it, Falco and construct come back, and I don't know. It's my favorite prize card, definitely.
Yeah. My number 2 is Tour Guide from the Underworld, and this slutty little whore was in like all of my favorite decks. It was in Burning Abyss, it was in Windups. I mean, I tried to put it in Gear Gia. I tried to put it in Heroes. When I don't know if you guys remember when Escorido came out. I was trying every which way to put that. I tried Tour Guide and Fusion Gate and bring back cards, and I love Tour Guide. Tour Guide is the only thing I didn't love about Tour Guide was when it was really like expensive, but thing is about Tour Guide is she not only defined formats and time periods, but she's also the best card in 2 of my favorite decks. And then I really liked Dino Rabbit too for a while, and it was really good in that. And yeah, Tour Guide is one of my favorite cards of all time for sure. My number 1, which should come at no surprise, is Windup Magician. Obviously, anyone who knows me knows that I'm like obsessed with windups. I will play them right now. And I'll lose, but I'll still play them.
$100 mirrors.
$100 mirrors, let's get it. No, Windup's one of my favorite decks. It's one of the most skill-based and one of the most literally creative decks of all time. Shout out to my friend Pono for grinding with me back in the day when this deck was a monstrosity, and this deck just it changed my perspective on the game. It let me. I loved this game way more when this deck was the best, and that's why I hope ARG goes back to their ARG formats. Jim, please, I want to play Windups again.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
What's your number 1?
Sideblocker, which if anybody knows me, they know that's it. I just love what the card does. It's not overly powerful, but it comes in handy a lot. It outs anything that's stopping you, anything that's in your way. It secures game through certain cards, like whenever you would play the Necro's Mirror, you could just Sideblocker Valkyris, swing for game. You turn off Floodgates. It's level 4. It just stops everything, and I love it.
You should tell the story about how you dicked on that one guy. What was it, ARG St. Louis?
At ARG St. Louis,